I have something interesting to tell you.
Go ahead.
My dad told my brother, my stepbrother, and he told me I didn't get to see my dad that much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you ever remember Cesar Romero, but he kind of favored him. That's how he was very light complexion, and I guess they got that from my dad, my grandfather's side. But I got a little time when they shut Texas Steel down, and I didn't know where I was going to go and all that because I didn't have an education. All I knew was the steel business work. Anyway, I went to visit my dad, and I didn't know how to approach him, you know. But anyway, get to what I'm going to tell you. I know you haven't got much time. We were there, and I gave him a couple of dollars, and little did he know that I needed those $2.
Yeah.
But he wanted to drink beer, and then he's feeling a little good, and he said, "Son," and he played 4 instruments. He was a chef at Texas Hotel. I don't know if you remember hearing that, for President Kennedy. When he came down in 1963, he stayed there at the Texas Hotel. But my dad was a chef, and like I said, he was very light complexion, and he was in the service. Anyway, he had told me, he said, "Son, did you know that I fed that man this man's last meal, cooked his last meal?" And I said, "The man that they shot, he just came out of left field somewhere, you know." I didn't understand, and with it, and you know, the one in Dallas. Oh, I said, "Really?" And he remembered what he ate for breakfast. He fixed him his breakfast: soft scrambled eggs, French toast, and jelly. He likes and orange juice, and that was his favorite, you know. And then I read an article just recently that the man, you know, his anniversary, Kennedy assassination, the man that cooked his meal, it wasn't that man. That man took his breakfast upstairs, but it wasn't him. It was my dad that fixed his last meal. And I asked my stepbrother just last year, they were trying to get some information about my grandfather from Italy. And I said, "Let me ask you something." He told me, he said, "Dad tell me that all the time. He fixed that man's last meal." And he says, when my dad first told me about it, he said there was 2 men in a suit. He couldn't understand why they were standing there. He didn't know who. My dad didn't know who the president was, you know. He didn't know much about it. All it was inside work all the time. Didn't read, like, you know.
So they were watching your dad make the meal just to make sure everything.
Yes, and then this other man, and then I asked this man when I worked at Alcon for a little bit, and at the office, and he had posters of the military, you know, Air Force. He was a pilot at one time, whatever. And I asked him, and we got to know each other, and I said, "You know, I'm going to tell you something about my dad." And I said, I didn't know if to believe my dad at first. And when I told him what I just got to telling you, he says, "Was your dad in the military?" I said, "Yes." He said, "That was your dad. He did cook," because he said he's read about Kennedy the last 25, 40 years. He's been reading about Kennedy, and that was his favorite breakfast. And when he told me that, I felt a little more bitter, you know, because, but I didn't know. My dad said, like, there was 2 men watching him, and then another person that was going to take
the meal to the president. That's a very interesting story, and I'm glad you told it to us.
We don't, you know. Thank you. I can't verify it, but he sure said. He said, "Dad," he said, "Son, I don't know what those men were watching me. I never have nobody watch me, you know."